everyone, welcome to Soul Symbols. My name is Shelley. I'm a writer, an astrologer, and a card reader, and I'd like to welcome you to my channel. Happy birthday, Jane Austen. Today is going to be a very special reading. What it is today is the anniversary of Jane Austen's birthday. She is the 18th century romance novelist from England. You've probably seen, if you've ever seen Pride and Prejudice, if you've ever seen, Northanger Abbey or Sense and Sensibility. There was a recent movie that came out. There was a remake of Emma that's playing recently. All of them are really good. But as a literature major, I love Jane Austen stories. I feel like they're very romantic. She has a very keen sense of humor. And she had such a wonderful perspective of the culture in her time, and and the plight of a woman, and the plight of, and just everybody in kind of a social sphere to one another in her time. So she was very influential. She saw a little bit of fame during her life, but really the majority of the income from her stories came after her passing. And to celebrate the day, I decided to kind of do what I did with the National Dice Day. December 3rd was National Dice Day, and what I did is to introduce you to all of my dice sets. I went ahead and did a weekly energy card reading. So we kind of did we did a 2-in-1 kind of video at that time, where I started the video by showing you my decks or my dice sets, and then we went into the reading. So to celebrate Jane's birthday, which I did do a video last year, which was called What is Your Jane Austen Love Story? And I'll gladly post the link to that video down below if you want to check it out. The great thing about card readings is that they have no expiration date. If you want to go back and visit the previous reading, definitely messages can resonate. But what we'll do today is I'll go ahead, and I have 3 Jane Austen themed decks, and I'm going to go through we've got playing cards. We've got an oracle deck that we're going to be talking about in a minute. And then we have a tarot deck that the Jane Austen tarot deck I actually discussed in my tarot collection video. So this is the second time we'll be going over this deck, but we'll revisit it so you can see it here in this theme. But I absolutely love Jane, and to have the tarot deck is out of print, and we'll talk about that when we get to it. But to have a Jane tarot and to have a playing card set, and then we'll discuss this in a minute. There's a 4th deck that is on my wish list, something wicked, and we're going to talk about that. That's actually a Jane-based Lenormand. And I am wicked excited. We're going to talk about that. I actually had the pleasure of meeting the creator. I know the person who creates this new Lenormand deck. So I'm really hoping, world events have kind of delayed the availability. But I am planning on having a 4-set Jane collection, and then that's pretty much going to round out. I have a lot of cards, but I make room for Jane because I love it. And the beautiful thing is we'll get a chance to actually explore the different type of card decks, because the one nice thing about this is you kind of have the trifecta here. If you have tarot, if you have playing cards, if you have Lenormand, then you've kind of, you've got it all. Then the second part of the reading, we're going to go ahead and we have 3 placeholders here. And we're going to go ahead and do a love spread using these cards. So we're going to take 1 card from each, and we're going to do a quick spread just to see what's your current love life. Let's do a romantic read on Jane's birthday. The other thing is, if you ever want to jump straight to your reading, the timestamps are in the description box below. So that's your fast pass. If you want to get past the blah blah blah, go ahead, click that link. It's there for you. And then the other thing is that the name and the name and the authors of the decks that I'm displaying, as well as the books that I'm going to be talking about, we're going to touch on a few books, are also in the description box. So please feel free to check it out. And if you are watching this video at the time that it posts on December 16th, please check out a Jane movie. I'm hoping that maybe the cable channels or maybe the streaming channels will be, Emma is definitely on cable right now, and it stars Anya Taylor-Joy, Miss Queen's Gambit herself. So if you've seen that actress in on the Netflix series, The Queen's Gambit, she is the star of the Emma movie that's currently out, that came out a year ago and is now playing on cable. But all right, guys. So let's get to the chase. I went ahead and I brought out my this is kind of my Easter tablecloth, but I liked how it looks like handwriting in the background, and it just, to have kind of a soft feminine feel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move our placeholders just up to the corner here. So we have a ribbon, we have a ring, and we have a letter. And I had so much fun making this letter because I have a wax. I bought a wax and seal set. So it's actually, my initials got a little messed up, but normally when you do it right. And I'm kicking myself because I just sent out all of my holiday cards, and I was gonna do the wax seal on all of them, and I completely forgot because it's been a crazy busy year, and it slipped my mind. But I'm gonna do that moving forward. Now to start, the first deck is a very large kind of. My first Jane deck is called it's called the Jane Austen Tarot deck by Jacqui Oakley. But I do want to reiterate, and we'll get into it in a minute. It's called a tarot deck, but it's not a tarot deck. But we're going to get into that, and no fault to the publisher. But just to be clear, because if it's something that you want to look to purchase, we want to be real deal in the description. I am stupid proud of this bag. If you're a follower of my channel, I love to sew. And I made this bag, and oh my gosh, you would think I bought this, and I'm so stupid. I went to the craft store and I bought some linen. So, again, Libra sun sign. I like it aesthetic. I like it when you can pet your bags. But yep, it's all linen, and then it's kind of this satin lining in the middle. But so we'll go ahead and put my bag over here somewhere. Sorry, where am I going to put it? I'll put it right here. But what it is it's a good-sized card deck. But just to go over a little blah 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 in here, just to clarify, as a card reader, you work with materials, right? Tarot is a 78 card deck. The majors are 22 cards, and what it is it starts with a Fool, which is 0, and then there's 21 cards after that, so it's cumulative 22 cards. And then the rest of the deck, the minors, is like a deck of playing cards. A deck of playing cards is an ace through a 10, and then a page, a jack or a knight, a queen, and a king. And so when you think about that, that's 14 cards for 4 suits, plus the original 22, and that makes up a 78 card tarot deck. This deck, I'm not sure if there was confusion. It's a really beautiful, it's a well done deck. So I feel bad. And again, all the opinions here are just to review the material. It's not to knock the publisher. I believe the publisher's name is Clarkson Potter. And it might be a British company, and God bless. It's a gorgeous deck. It's very well done. But what it is it's a 53 card deck. And the artwork is by Jacqui Oakley, and Jacqui Oakley has done other Austen-themed projects. And what you see is a traditional playing card deck, and when we get to the third deck, we're going to see it. A traditional playing card. So when you think about, an ace through a 10, and then a page, a jack, a king and a queen, that is a total of 52 cards. If you throw in 2 jokers, that's 54 cards. This deck says Jane Austen Tarot deck, but it is 53 cards, and it has in the upper right left hand corner and the lower right, it has it has all of the markings of a playing card deck. Now what's different about it is that if you ever study, there's several ways of divination for playing cards. Lenormand is a 36 card deck, and it's similar to gypsy cards. And actually, when I'm going to be posting a different video. It may not be in December. I'm going to try, but we'll be posting a different video that talks about the history of Lenormand. Lenormand is slightly different. Lenormand is 36 cards, and it does have themes like the lily, the ring, the rider, the fox. And so it's a slightly different animal, pun intended, but it's only 36 cards. This deck, and actually the book goes a really long way, this deck is like a playing card deck type of, it's like playing cards because it goes, from with the clubs, it goes 1 through 10, and then it says Jack, knight, king, queen, and king. Now the other thing is that there is one joker. There's one joker, and what they do is they deem it as a few of these cards are deemed using terminology from tarot, so that's where it gets a little confusing. Now, where the crossover occurs, so just to clarify, this is a card deck based oracle. It has the 52 regular cards without. It does not have separate major arcana. So this is where it's a unique animal, this deck. It's quite beautiful, but just to clarify, this deck, when you open it, it's going to have playing card numbers. So it has the traditional A's through 10. It has the page, the jack, the knight, the page, the jack is the knight, and then the king and the queen, and then it has a book that gives descriptions. Now, one really great book, if you're looking for a book that kind of gives you the whole kit and caboodle, like if you want to study stones, if you want to study runes and palmistry, this is a book by one of my favorites, Miss Liz Dean, and it's called The Ultimate Guide to Divination. And I'm going to go ahead and reference it a minute because she has an excellent chapter on reading playing cards. And what it is that playing cards can be read the way that's similar to Lenormand or similar to tarot. It's kind of like it's a little bit of an overlap. It's a crossover. And actually, if you watch other tarot readings here on YouTube, you'll see it. There's several readers who actually, taking a Sharpie marker, they'll write on their cards the meanings, right? So for instance, we'll go ahead and we've got Margaret Dashwood. I love her. She's such a spirit. She's such a spirit. But so what you have here is like the Jack of Hearts. You've got that's Lydia Bennet. That makes sense. But Lydia Bennet. There's another one that has Maggie Dashwood, and she's a gem. But here you go. You've got the Jack of Hearts. So it says the Jack is a youthful or young at heart individual who is good company. An additional meaning is a friendship that evolves into a light-hearted romance. This person makes you feel younger than your years. Reverse meaning is a relationship rift that needs healing, past or present. And when you think about it, she does. So what I love about this is that, Jack of Hearts is charm. Pride and Prejudice is Lydia Bennet is young, charming, and full of romantic notions about handsome suitors, which she is. So basically, this card, just to clarify, this card deck it is a traditional 52 playing card deck with one additional joker, and but it doesn't stick to the regular playing card definitions. She did add a few of the playing cards as major arcana. So like for here, you've got the Seven of Swords. She has it as the Chariot. She has the name the Chariot at the top. And then, the Eight of Hearts, which normally would be the Eight of Cups, is the Moon. And then the Nine of Clubs is the Sun. Now, this is a little I'll say that it's counterintuitive because you can read a deck of playing cards like tarot just without the majors. This is a little bit of a hodgepodge because it's a traditional deck of playing cards with one joker, and she's turned some of the cards. She's deviated from the traditional playing card deck reading, and interjected some of the minor numbers as with titles of the majors. So just to put it out there, you will have to rely on the book. You'll have to rely on the book. But as you're learning it, you can get used to her. Her artwork is gorgeous. it has a real kind of, it has a linen-like texture. It's a little like semi-matte. And so it shuffles really well. It's a wide deck, so it feels good in the palm. It's very wide. But what you do have to do is it's a little bit of a learned thing. You almost have to, it's kind of its own animal, because what you have to do is you have to pull the card and read the book. And just to go through it, just to see the ones that are marked as quote unquote majors. They're not real majors, because this is not a tarot deck. This is an oracle playing card kind of hybrid. That's the best I can describe it, because there's no word for what it is, but it's a good deck. Like the six of hearts is the lovers. The Jack of diamonds, which would be the Knight of Pentacles, is the star, and this has Jane Fairfax. I think that's adorable. Queen of Hearts is the High Priestess. The Four of Spades is Death. We got the Tower, we got the World, we got the Empress, and she's the Queen of Clubs, which would be the Queen of Wands. Which is very creative. It's very prolific. I tend to think the Queen of Wands is a little bit more the Hollywood maven than the nurturing mother. She is nurturing, but again, this is a little bit of a hybrid kind of interpretation. We've got Strength and the Hanged Man. We got Judgment, and this is really great. This is Northanger Abbey. She really includes a lot of the traditional, like Northanger Abbey was Jane Austen's very first book, her first novel. The Magician is Jane herself, which I think is beautiful, because actually in the tarot deck she's the High Priestess. But and they have her as the King of Clubs, which is the King of Wands, which is very, very apt. She was Jane is a sun sign Sagittarius, and she was very prolific for her time. We do have an Emperor and a Hermit. The Joker's really beautiful. The Joker is really quite nice. It doesn't have it does not have a major associated to it, but it does have a meaning in the book. And so again, you can get used to these cards. What you will probably see is that if you do see other card readers use this, they'll refer to the book, because again, this is not a traditional deck. We have to kind of play it by ear or learn just like any other oracle deck, really. Like I have to read the book for if you watch my oracle deck review. But we got Justice. This is great. We've got what is it? Oh gosh, why am I drawing a blank? It's not Willoughby. I'm sorry. It's Wickham. It's always a W name. I don't know if Jane Austen got vexed by somebody with a W name in her life, because all of her villains start with a W. But this is interesting. This is the Five of Clubs, which usually means competition, and it can mean competition in a romantic sense. And you got the dashing Wickham and the devil, And if you see this next to Lydia Bennet, it's almost like just desserts, really. Got the Wheel of Fortune, the Hierophant. I do love the Sun. The irony is that the Sun is the Nine of Clubs, which usually is more about like a hang in there card. It's not really like a unabashed joy kind of card. But I do love the artwork where it says it is well to have as many holds upon happiness as possible. That's really gorgeous. And then we've got the Chariot, and we've got the Moon. And the Moon's real beautiful too. It also has a saying. It says, "We all have our best guides within us if we would only listen." That's really gorgeous, and that's such a nice interpretation. But it's a gorgeous deck. It really is. The cardstock is really nice. I've been using it for a while. And but just to throw it out there, if you're looking for a traditional tarot, this is not it. If you're looking for a really beautiful hybrid of playing cards with one joker that you can that has kind of a 1/3 mix of keywords that relate to the tarot, the majors in tarot, then this is a good deck for you. But just know that you will probably have to read the guidebook, and you might want to keep the guidebook at the ready. And I'm going to go ahead and just shuffle I'm going to shuffle those majors back in so we have a good mix. Okay. But it's a gorgeous deck. It's not expensive. It's right there on Amazon for usually about $25, $25. It's a wider deck. It's not as small as a tarot deck, but it's a good value. I really enjoy it, and I've really gotten a lot out of it. I think it really does flesh out everything, because I'll pull Jane reads, and I use this deck for my own love readings quite a lot. Like if I want to know what's going on in my love life, I'll pull these decks, and this really does kind of bring everything together. And when we get to the playing card decks, you'll see why I went with the one that I went with. It's really the reason. Okay, second, we've talked about this deck in the video for my tarot decks. This is one of my 18 tarot decks. Don't judge me. Don't judge me, please. And but I'm going to shuffle it real quick. But this is a low scarabo deck. So you'll see that it's the traditional low scarabo size, which is usually, from my understanding, the cards are produced in Italy. They might be, you know, actually created in China, but distributed through Europe. But this is the back of the deck, and it's that long, kind of more elongated, but a little bit more narrow. My hands are kind of small, and it fits really great. It's a 78 card deck. And what I love about this deck is that it's a traditional tarot, completely across the board traditional tarot. You've got the 22 majors, you got the remaining minors, and I love the aces because like the ace of cups is the ace of teacups, the ace of wands is the ace of candlesticks, the ace of swords is the ace of quills. And it's really beautiful. Like each of the aces are on top of a book. Like if you can see, the Ace of Quills is on top of Emma. Ace of Cups is on top of Persuasion, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's really beautifully done. And then the Ace of Pentacles is the Ace of Coins, and the Ace. What did I leave out? I'm drawing a blank. Okay, we got coins, candlesticks, teacups, and... oh no, I think we covered. I think the gang's all here. Quills, teacups, coins, and candlesticks. And what I absolutely love is that each of the scenes, all of the minors are illustrated, and it just gives me a wealth of and here you go, the Ace of Coins is on top of Sense and Sensibility. But anytime I pull one of these cards, I can look at the story that it's portraying, and because I know that the Jane Austen stories, I get such an in-depth reading. Like I can get such a deep reading with very few cards, which is also why, you know, all I have to do is take one card from each pile. But let's go ahead and just see. So please, Spirit. The Chariot, the Hierophant, and the Ten of Candlesticks. Yeah. And this is really beautiful because, I can see the characters. Like, this is Mary from Pride and Prejudice. She's playing to the crowd, and it's like no one is really appreciating all her hard work. I believe the Chariot is Lydia Bennet, or let me double check that. Now, what's beautiful about this deck is that you don't have to be a pro at Jane Austen. You don't have to read every single book of Jane Austen. Now, if you are a really great fan of it, this is a perfect deck for you. But there's a corresponding book, and the book is sold separately. And I lucked out, and I got the book for $25 because both the card set and the book were distributed, I believe, in 2002, 2006. And the deck and the book are no longer in print. So this is a vintage deck. If you look to buy it, you're going to have to go. I always say it's funny. It's a quote in one of the Austen movies when what is it? It's in Sense and Sensibility when Colonel Brandon he's being given the advice, bide your time, Brandon, bide your time, which means, and I think of that anytime it comes to waiting out for a deck that you really want. You may have to kind of watch and wait. You know, check out the book selling sites like Alraghl or eBay. I got this deck. I got my tarot deck from eBay, and I bought it from a really sweet lady in Europe. And she was a card reader, and she was very reputable. I did end up, the starting bid was right around $60, and then the shipping was about $30. So I did pay close to $100 to get this deck. But again, I'm not encouraging you to drop a load of money on a vintage deck. I wanted this deck so bad, and I to this day I don't think there's anything comparable. There are, there are resurgences of Jane. She comes in fashion and a lot. So she'll come back into fashion. Like this deck just came out in the last year, so I really do think that we're in one of those times where she's regaining popularity. But in 2006, which is amazing, 15 years ago, there was a popularity for it, and you see themed decks like Game of Thrones had its own deck in the last 2 years, Nightmare Before Christmas. So it's just one of those things where they did a Jane deck, but it doesn't come around very often. And I do love the quality. The artwork is really beautiful. I do think that they really stay true to a lot of the stories with the way it's depicted. And this is the tower, and the moon is really gorgeous too. The moon is amazing. You see reflections in the pool of water. This is Elizabeth Bennet. And here we go, the Ace of Candlesticks. It's on top of Pride and Prejudice. So that's really cool. But I thought this deck was worth every penny. Again, if it's a deck that you're interested in, you might have to watch and wait. Honestly, the starting bid for this deck was incredibly reasonable, and I know $60 is a lot of money plus shipping, and waiting for the package to arrive. I thought it was worth every penny because this deck was in pristine condition for being 15 years old. It was a complete deck. That's the other thing you want to check. You want to make sure all the cards are there, and you really want to look. You want to scrutinize the pictures to make sure. The book is available. I got it for $25, and I left out because the proceeds benefited charity, so it was such a win-win. I had the great pleasure 2 years ago. I went to a tarot retreat, or it was last year, really. Sorry, it feels like longer. I went to a tarot retreat, and I got to speak to Mary. It was hosted by Mary K. Greer and Diane Wilkes. And Diane Wilkes is the author of this book. And Diane is such a wonderful spirit. We had such a good time, and she did such an amazing job. This book talks about, it gives you a quick, like, one paragraph card description, and then a separate paragraph that goes into the storyline, and then there's another area that just goes straight into card interpretation. So if you do decide to get this deck, you can get the corresponding book. Again, you don't have to spend $100 for it. That's what it's, being marked up ridiculously to. But this deck, this deck is so near and dear to my heart because I get such an in-depth reading, and you've seen me use it on the channel. I always joke, anytime I use it in a weekly energy card reading, I'm like, it might not be love, and 9 times out of 10, I'm like, okay, pile 3, you're having a love week because it's Jane, but what I love about it is it's not flowery, it's not like Hallmark movie kind of love. It is some serious in-depth, like here, 9 of teacups, 5 of quills. You get a story. Like the 9 of teacups is, this is the sitting at dinner. Oh gosh, I know this story. And then the 5 of quills is Emma when she insults Miss Bates at the garden party. But I can so read these cards on a whole new level because of the background of the story. Now, one other thing that I'm stupid excited about is that I did think that this was, because this first deck said tarot. I thought it was tarot, but then I was kind of thrown. I wanted to wait till the deck arrived because the card count was throwing me. This is 53 cards. This is 78, and then a traditional playing card deck is 54. And then Lenormand is 36. So technically I have a traditional playing card deck, and then I have a playing card deck that has tarot elements, and it's a hybrid of playing cards, mild tarot elements, but it is oracle. And then, but I really I still to this day, I have not seen, up until now, I have not come across a Jane Lenormand deck, which is the 36 cards. Like, the Lenormand deck I have is a German one, and this is the Lily from that. So it would be, based on Jane, it would be, the ring, the rider, the fox, the moon, the 36 cards for Lenormand. And what happened was, after I had the pleasure of meeting Diane Wilkes, I started following her on social media, and she announced that with this year, 2020, they were hosting another tarot retreat. And at this tarot retreat, part of the incentive of going was that she was going to give you the opportunity to buy her new Jane Austen Lenormand deck. So she created another deck that is Jane Austen Lenormand, and my breath caught in my throat because it's like, oh my God, I'll have my complete decks. I'll have technically 2 playing cards, one with tarot elements, a tarot deck, and then the Lenormand would complete it. I would not and I even held myself to it. That would be my last Jane deck. That would be my collection for Jane. Now, sadly, I was not able to, with world events, I didn't intend on attending the retreat. But I did keep in touch with Diane, and she said that, okay, by November, the publisher should have it available. Of course, as part of the promo, those attending the retreat get first dibs to it. But once it's actually out for publication, I will let you know. Routers wire, and but I do think things got a little delayed. I think that retreat got canceled given the world events. So again, if it might have gotten pushed back to spring, but I don't think that the deck would be available for sale until after it's debuted. And once it's debuted to the event goers of that, the retreat attendees, then it would be available for me to purchase independently. But of course, if that changes, it's been a real up and down year. If they need to put it up for sale, Miss Wilkes, Miss Diane knows that I am stupid interested. Like, call me, beat me, however you want to reach me, DM me, PayPal, Venmo, however you roll. I will have that money into your account overnight to get me some Lenormand. So I can't wait for that, and I really. Now, the third deck is really beautiful, and it's funny. I kept thinking, oh, I already have a playing cards deck, but I saw this and I had to have it. I did make the deck, the bag, using a sewing machine. So again, more of my sewing. But this is the Jane Austen playing cards. And it's interesting, this publisher actually has 2 card backs. One is a little bit more goldish, and this one's more of a kind of a copper brown. It's not even just a brown. The lighting's not really doing it justice. It's funny, I actually had a little competition. I created 2 bags of that fit. I have another deck of, Gypsy fortune teller cards, and the deck sides are, the size of the deck is very similar to each other. So I kept holding the deck up and going, okay, does this coordinate more? But I did. I went ahead and paired it with this bag. Now, this deck is different because it is like a traditional playing card deck. So what you can absolutely do is, if you have a book, and it doesn't have to be this book, but if you have a card reading book, you can absolutely, just open this up and use this, as a regular deck of reading cards. I would say this deck is too pretty to actually write on it. And what I loved about this deck is that, that makes it real different, is that in addition, instead of having images, minors, like on the non-court cards, so the court cards have pictures of people, like here, and actually the aces do too. The aces and the court cards have scenes. So here, like the ace of spades, which is a big card, and like in poker, when you see the ace, it usually means it's that they call it the trump card. They call it the card that that it can sometimes be read as misfortune, but if you're reading playing cards like tarot, it's the ace of swords, which means revelation, and here it has scenes on it. Like, for instance, the Ace of Swords is Walter Elliot, which is Anne Elliot's father, and this is him playing up to or Dowager Van Rimpel, which is like a wealthy lady relative. It's like a royal relative in his family that he's really kind of kissing up to. But what I love about it is that, yes, all of the court cards represent people. Like the Queen of Pentacles is Marianne Dashwood. The Jack of Diamonds, or I'm sorry, the Queen of Diamonds and the Jack of Diamonds. The Jack of Diamonds is Edward Ferrars. And that's so apt because honestly, the Knight of Pentacles, which is the same card, is also Edward Ferrars, and that makes sense because Edward's like a slow-moving dude. He gets bogged down in all of his previous commitments in the story. And what I love about the minors is that like the 2 through 10 of all the suits, they have quotes from Jane Austen. And I just think this is the greatest thing. Like the King of Swords is Frederick Wentworth. But here, these two popped out, and like we have the 2 of Swords, 2 of Spades. I keep reading it like tarot. Sorry, guys. 2 of Spades. We have the quote, "My idea of good company is the company of a clever My idea of good company is the company of clever, well-informed people who have a great deal of conversation." And you know what that is? That's Mr. Elliot. That's Cousin Elliot when he's trying to kind of snooze Anne Elliot. He's a little bit of a conniving character. The other thing is that we've got the 8 of Spades, and it says, "Facts or opinions which are to pass through the hands of so many, to be misconceived by folly in one, and ignorance in another, can hardly have much truth left." And what that is that's telephone. You know how when you tell something to someone else and to someone else to someone else, it's saying facts or opinions which are to pass through the hands of so many, to be misconceived by folly in one. So one person reads the message wrong, and ignorance in another. So one person just hears the message wrong, and then another person just completely misunderstands the message, can hardly have much truth left, which means it's almost like, you know, fake news by the time it gets anywhere. But I love the quote just speaks so well. You know, like 2 of Hearts, it is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife, which is the opening line to Pride and Prejudice. But I get such a wealth of information from this deck. So again, you know, I've gotten used to the hybrid oracle. I use my tarot often, and then I clarify, which and all 3 of these, you know, decks represent characters. You can see the characters represented in the deck. So if I pull, you know, 1 card from each of these decks, it gives me a real clear read. And again, I'm eagerly awaiting the Lenormand. Diane Wilkes, she's producing that. I'm not sure when the new release date would be, but I'm stupid excited about that, and I will be, you know, in line as soon as I know that it's available. So I'm gonna jump on that bandwagon, and then my collection, that I'm really gonna leave off there. I don't think I'll get, you know, famous last words, but I don't think I'll get much more after that, because I really think I'm so happy with these decks, and a Lenormand would just complete my collection, and I would be, you know, just ecstatic, and that's my world. Oh, Jane. But thank you so much for sharing that. I hope this gave you some insight into the different decks that are available that are Austen based. And again, definitely, you know, if you want to Google Diane Wilkes, also I'll try to list the name of the artist. I believe her first name is Carrie, so I'll include that. So we're gonna go ahead and continue, and now we're gonna, using the 3 decks, we're gonna do a read. So what you'll do is, I have 3 placeholders here. You're going to pick a placeholder, and what I'll do is I'll shuffle and pull 1 card from each of these decks, and we'll read. It'll be, what is your love life? And, you know, with a Jane interpretation, which is very thorough and very, you know, she's no nonsense, that Jane. And so what we've got is, we've got 3 placeholders. The first one is a ribbon, and it's all folded up, but I thought of this because ladies at that time, they would embellish their bonnets using ribbons, and ribbons were kind of like what you would go to town to get. Like if you got pretty silk ribbon, it was a real luxury. It was a real exciting thing. You know, if you do catch the new Emma, there's a beautiful scene where Harriet Smith is comparing ribbon, and Emma's trying to get her to choose, and she's like, well, this one is a little darker, but this one is so pretty, and she's like, well, go with the pretty one. She goes, but then it'll get dirty. You know, it's really cute. So ribbons were a big deal back in the day. The second is the ring. And actually both of these rings are heirlooms from my grandmothers. So the second is the ring, which can definitely, it can mean commitment. It can be a sign of affluence, and sometimes again it could be family inheritance. And then the last placeholder is the letter. So again, and it's sealed with wax, so it can be, it can represent whatever it represents for you. In Lenormand, the letter usually means news that's coming, or it could be a love letter, or just, being informed. But I'll go ahead and I'll freeze frame the video. If you need more time, please pause. We do ask that you just choose from your intuition, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, we're back. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to just move, since this was a good place to put our stuff. So the first pile, we've got ribbon people. Let's go ahead and see, what's your love story on Jane Austen's birthday? So ribbon people. One card, please. Ooh, nice. Here, I'm just going to put the book to the side because we're going to need that again. All right. There's actually a card in the tarot deck that's very similar to this. I think it's the Two of Cups. Ooh, nice. Okay. I'm just going to show it to you real quick, just so you know, because I'm not sure if there's a whole lot of flip-throughs on this channel on YouTube for it, because again, it's over 10. It's a deck that's over 10 years old, and if you really want to, the comments are open. If you want to see a flip through, let me know. I'll put all the cards in order and flip through it for you, if that's something you want to see. Again, you don't have to spend you don't have to drop bank to. There you go. See, the Two of Teacups is similar. It's almost like there's a dancing scene. It's so great. And in dancing, it's beautiful. And Jane Austen, the art of dancing was like the art of courtship, right? It was the ability to cooperate, and there was a very big analogy in her stories that engaging in a dance was like engaging in courtship. And that's why when Mr. Darcy's like, I don't dance, or that I need a suitable partner, that's the pride. All right, so ribbon people. Ribbon people. Oh, oh, that's cool. That's cute. That's cute, guys. Now, this is interesting, guys, because let's go ahead and read it. So the Two of Clubs, we'll go ahead and read the Two of Clubs. That is Pride and Prejudice, so that is Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy. And it says, Two of Clubs, Discovery. Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy dance at the edge of their own unknown future together in Pride and Prejudice. And then this is really beautiful. So honestly, guys, your love situation right now is, I really get the sense that you're on the precipice of deciding whether or not you are in a relationship with someone. You might have somebody kind of in mind. Maybe you've been kind of doing the dance with someone. Again, I do get the sense that this person, that if you are interested in, if you're a woman watching this reading, this person might be acting a little aloof. It's almost like you don't know where they're at, because that was big with Mr. Darcy. He was a big enigma. He'd kind of act one way, and then he had moments where his real sweetness would shine through. But it was confusing to Elizabeth Bennet, and she's a very independent woman. She didn't have a whole lot of money, and so finding a good match should have probably been an important goal for her, but her happiness was really more important to her. She knew she didn't want to be in a loveless marriage, and so I do get the sense that you're kind of dancing around someone. The other thing is the Two of Clubs is the Two of Wands. So it is kind of like, do I stay or do I go? You've ever heard that song, do I stay or do I go now? So I do get the sense that you got someone that you've been kind of dancing around, and you're circling one another. But you don't, it's not really clear their feelings. And you're not really sure, should I stay where I'm at, or should I try for this, because it's been a little bit murky, that this person hasn't really given you clear intentions. But there, you do feel a spark there. There's a connection, there's chemistry. Now, the Judgment is really beautiful. This is actually, yeah, this is the marriage. This is the marriage of Emma's governess. Let me double check this real quick. I'm sorry I'm referring to books. I know these cards inside and out, but I just want to double check. Got you. Yep, yep. What it is that this is talking about how at the and this is actually great if you get a chance to watch the new Emma. This is pertains to that. Emma wants to marry Mr. Knightley, but she is worried about her father. Emma is one of two children. She has an older sister. Her older sister is actually married to Knightley's brother. There's no blood relation, but it's almost like, two sons of one family end up marrying two daughters of another family. So, their cousins are super cousined. But any children each of them have, they're gonna be like cousins, double bonded. I don't know what you would call that. I need to pull out that chart, that describes, cousins twice removed, and their so forth. But what I'm seeing here is that, what I'm seeing is that, oh, you know what I'm getting, guys? And this is really quite beautiful. You have someone who looks like they're really interested, but they have some kind of personal hurdle. Here in Judgment, it's like Emma wants to marry Mr. Knightley, but the hurdle is that, her older sister already got married and left home, and her father's feeling really alone, so she doesn't want to abandon him. But what it is that it's a lot to ask your new husband to move in with your family, right? So that's what I'm almost kind of getting. And this can be for you or your person. I think somebody really wants to make you an offer. But it's almost like there's some strings attached, and they're hesitant, or they're not sure how you're going to take hearing that, like, oh, okay, I really do want to take things further, but maybe they have a child from a previous relationship, or maybe they're I'm getting a sense like almost maybe like a different background or religion. Maybe you have to convert your religious practice to be with them, or there's something in the way of appeasing to family. The other thing is maybe this person is really concerned about how you're gonna fit in with their family and their friends. So it's definitely like, it's and I'm also getting it's a little twofold. I think it's, if this is you and your energy, I think it's also you giving up your independence. The other thing is that, when you've been single for a long time, sharing quarters not only with, someone else, but potentially their family. I am almost getting like it's a cohabitation. That's the other thing, is that there's going to be a revelation that this person really cares about you, and the reason that they've been acting so elusive is because they have family or other considerations that they have to, tend to, that kind of takes precedence over your relationship. It isn't that they don't love you or want to be with you, they really do, but it's almost like that's going to be revealed to you. And the thing that I'm getting is it's going to be kind of a choice. The Six of Spades is the Six of Swords. I'm reading this more in a I'm not reading it in a playing card sense. But the Six of Swords says, a lady without a family was the very best preserver of furniture in the world. And what that means is that I think what they're concerned about is that you're not going to have the same independence that you had before. Like you're going to be putting up with not only your new spouse, but you're going to be putting up with their family, and it's going to be a real shift for you. It might be a little bit hard to bear, and they're not sure if you can handle it. The other thing is that I'm getting the sense that in Pride and Prejudice, Mr. Darcy did have some dominating, like his aunt. She was a piece of work, and he had to put up with her, right? It's not that he doesn't love her, he does, but he just wants to, actually the Six of Spades is not in this book. Yeah, again, it almost doesn't address all of the numbers. It goes with specific cards. But actually, the Ultimate Guide to Divination would be really good for clarifying this first oracle deck too. But but yeah, wow, guys, this is real specific, and you see the stories play into it so much. But yeah, Mr. Darcy had to answer to quite a few people. He was he it was his money. He could do what he ultimately. The other thing I'm getting is whatever choice he makes, that it stands. He can do whatever. Mr. Darcy, if he wants to marry Elizabeth Bennet, he can. But the problem is that he might answer to family, or he might be subjecting you to family. If you go through with this marriage, you might have to cohabitate with their family, or you might have to take care of their family. The other thing is that I'm getting a strong sense that they know how independent you are. Maybe you've been single for a long time, and again, getting adapted to having a spouse or a live-in person would be one level of change. But then moving in with their whole family, and if their family believes different things than you, and what I kind of get is a lady without a family. A lady without a family was the very best preserver of furniture in the world. I get the sense that his family might be a little bit rough on you. You know what I mean? Like, I always think of this, how, if you've ever had it, where my mom had that living room. We didn't have plastic on the couch. It wasn't that extreme, but she had the nice living room couch, and it was almost like it was the room you weren't allowed to touch anything, which is a little bit of an oxymoron when you call it a living room. But, all moms do that, right? They have that pretty front room that when guests come over, it doesn't have Kool-Aid stains. It doesn't have, it's not where you live. It's like the nice area. And I'm getting the sense that with you, when you live alone, you can have everything pristine. You can have everything the way that you like it to be. But you're not going to be able to you might not have that freedom. So it's really kind of like a choice. And I think this person wants to make sure that that choice is clear before you commit to it. Because, and it might involve a father or father figure, or again, just their family. I get a sense that it's more of a family thing. The other thing is that I think they're just really concerned because the thing with Mr. Darcy, his biggest hesitation was Elizabeth's social class. She was quote unquote beneath him because she wasn't rich like he was. She was more of a middle class kind of girl, and that's what he loved about her. But the other thing is to bring her into his world. I think of a little bit like Meghan Markle. It would be, there's a lot of scrutiny that comes when you marry into something, and it could be related to these beliefs, or it could be, cohabitation. But I think that you are a judgment. This person is really called to you. I think they're really drawn to you. I think they do want the relationship. The other thing is that I think it's going to be kind of a wake-up call. I think it's, if you do go forward with this, it's not, maybe it wasn't totally clear all of the things that you'd have to put up with, but it will become clear. And it's you really, the other thing you want to do is, I think that it's cautioning you, really consider those elements before you say yes. I know when you love somebody, you love them, and you'll just do it. It's funny, my mom one time alluded that, sometimes the easiest way to get through things is to just do it. It's like, go ahead and commit to it, and then later you realize it. And that's why sometimes there's a benefit to just, falling in love and just doing it, and then later you realize what a pain in the butt it is. But here I think it is also saying that if you can consider what's going on before you get too entrenched, but definitely follow your heart, because there is a lot of love there. All right, so that's wonderful, guys. So that was a beautiful read. All right, so deck number 2, we've got my beautiful, this is an heirloom ring. So we've got the ring, and this is an opal ring, which is a Libra birthstone. My grandmother and I were both Libra. She was actually born a few days after me. She was born the day after me, so we used to always say I was a day older. She was the spring chicken, and I was the old hen. But okay, so let's go ahead. Ooh, oh, you guys done got the King of Hearts, the King of Cups. Woo, right? So ring people. The other thing is, with ring, it can definitely be commitment. Let's go ahead and get your third card. Okay, one card, please. One card for ring people, please. Okay, this one is popping out. Oh, that's funny. Jane also had such a witty sense of humor. She had a real satire about her. She could be a little bit sarcastic in a really endearing way. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. You got the King of Hearts, and I believe, I'm almost positive this is Mr. Darcy. Mr. Darcy's really making a... If you are a Darcy girl, this is your reading. Yep. Oh my gosh. Emotional control. King of Hearts. What seems like aloofness is only natural reserve. Mr. Darcy in Pride and Prejudice proves to be generous and caring. And then the middle card, you got the Ace of Candlesticks, which is the Ace of Wands, which is really... Oh my gosh, guys, and it's Pride and Prejudice. Synchronicity alert. Yay. Oh my god, that's radical. All right. And then the last card, you got the nine of Pentacles, which is the Nine of Coins, which is, ooh, that's that real independent woman card or independent person card. And this is great. It says, novels since the birth of the genre have been full of rejected, seduced, and abandoned maidens whose proper fate is to die. And again, I think this is poking fun at it. It's poking fun at it. I do get the sense that similar to pile one, if you were attracted to that pile, again, you could definitely watch more than one. I do think that you're feeling an attraction towards someone. There might be a man in your life who's very Mr. Darcy-esque, where he seems like he stares at you. Like that's the other thing I'm getting is that you see the look in his face. And the way that it's orientated, it's almost like in the past, this person really locks eyes with you, and it can be a man or a woman. And again, in the storyline of Pride and Prejudice, Mr. Darcy wants to marry Elizabeth. He just has a few false starts because he doesn't approach her the right way. You know, the first time he kind of insults her. He doesn't want to dance with her. He kind of tells her that she's beneath him. And that's what I'm kind of getting with this, with the quote, you know, since the birth of the genre, you know, novels have been full of seduced and abandoned, rejected maidens whose proper fate is to die, you know, clutch the chest. So I'm almost getting the sense that this is, because remember we talked about Pride and Prejudice. I think both characters were prideful and biased. So I don't think it was just, you know, it wasn't just Darcy being Pride and Elizabeth being Prejudice or vice versa. I think that, I think this is almost you being sarcastic in your own head. I think just like Elizabeth, you're really drawn to this person, and I think that they give you kind of mixed signals. Because Mr. Darcy did that a lot. Excuse me. You know, like he would squeeze her hand when he was helping her out of a carriage, but then any other time he would avoid her or, you know, give her a really, you know, glance at her. But they would Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth Bennet would have these moments of real connection. It's like anytime they had a private moment alone, like anytime they were dancing or anytime they were talking, she knew her own mind, you know. He respected her for that. But what I get is that I do think that whomever it is that you feel, the other thing is that the Ace of Wands feels like such a passionate start, and with it being cups, and you know, this is a person who knows their own emotions, because remember it said emotional control, and that's what Darcy does. He keeps his control, and he even says it in that beautiful monologue. If you ever watched the Keira Knightley, or I do have the original BBC version with Colin Firth. That one's real good. It's a long one. It's like a good 3-hour docuseries, but that one's excellent. And you know, and when he approaches Elizabeth, he just bursts in the room, and it's almost like he's been holding his emotions in, and he finally just lets them out, and he's like, you know, I have struggled in vain, and it will not do. You know, I must tell you how much I ardently love and admire you. You know, will you marry me? So I do think that this person has marriage on the mind, because you also pick the ring. You pick the ring. So the other thing is that before diamonds came into fashion, and actually in in Jane Austen's day, opals. Queen Victoria at the turn of the century really brought opals into fashion, but it's almost a little bit of it's a little bit of a PR spin of public relate. It's a little bit of a media spin that what it would there's an old folklore, because opals are like opals need to be cared for in a very careful way. I like to oil mine, either that, or if the natural oils from my hands, you can see I'm kind of stroking it. You do want to be careful that you store your opals in a dark place with a little bit of moisture, just a little bit. Like if you do, like and nowadays, if you have an opal ring and you wash your hand 20 times a day, the way we do in pandemic mode, you might be drying out the stone. And what happened was, and actually I think it was the diamond industry that started this rumor, Queen Victoria, at the time, she wore a lot of opals. They were a sign of unflagging love, and they were given as like engagement rings. They were given as engagement, because this was before diamonds were forever, right? And then later, what happened is, I think the diamond industry really wanted to kind of turn sales into their favor. So what they did is they kind of started a rumor that opals were bad luck or a bad omen for commitment, because there was an old legend that said if you give an opal engagement ring, if it cracks, then it means your affianced, your beloved, is unfaithful. The other thing is that they also started a bad rumor that opals were like a curse. And if you see this, opals, when they're close to the skin, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to turn this into like a jewelry lesson or anything, but opals, when they're close to the skin, they start to glow. They have a red, there's a dark pink, and that's the sign of a organic raw opal, like a non-lab created one. And actually, this one is glowing at me now because I wear it. It's kind of set high up, but when my hands get warm, it glows. It's almost like saying hello, it's waking up. And it's really beautiful. I have another opal ring that I bought from an estate sale, and it was someone's grandmother who had passed, and she was also a Libra. And it's funny, when the opal arrived, it was this really, it still had the real milky white sign, and I thought that that was just the nature of the stone, that it wasn't, it didn't have all the fire in it. But as I started to wear it, the heat of my skin again made the opal wake up. That's what it's called, waking up an opal. But and it does, you start to see flashes of teal green and that really beautiful, vibrant, kind of magenta pinkish red. And that's an opal. Almost, I like to think of it as an opal accepting you, because you're bonding with it, the heat of your skin, the heat of your body. And honestly, in my woo woo ness, that I think it's the aura of you as well that it's sinking to. And so, and that's another one, all of my opals I'm very bonded to. So, all right, sorry, enough blabbing. I'll timestamp that, so if you want to skip over it. But what I'm seeing is that, again, opal would be an engagement stone. It wasn't all diamonds back in 1800s. So Mr. Darcy, it's funny, and actually you see it with British royalty now. If you watch The Crown, Fergie's engagement ring was a ruby. Diana's and Catherine's is a sapphire. Of course, the Queen, Elizabeth, her stone actually came from Prince Philip's side of the family. His mother took, I think she has like a good 3 carat. It's small for a queen, but when you see pictures of it, it's not small. It's pretty huge. It came out of like a tiara from Philip's side. But opals would most definitely be an engagement type ring, and the way that this ring is. So I think this person really has it on their mind. The other thing is that if they are acting kind of hot and cold, or they seem to be a little aloof, one minute they seem like you have a lot of connection, and the next minute they're turning their back and ignoring you. They're kind of pulling a Darcy. It's because they're reining in their emotions. There's still waters run deep, especially with the King of Cups. And the other thing is that they want this fiery start with you. And I think you want a fiery start with them. The other thing is that I do think that you have a Mr. Darcy, Elizabeth Bennet kind of relationship where you really, you'll tell this person what for. Like, you're not afraid to tell this person what you think. But the other thing is that this person, I think, also gets a little stern with you too. I think they have a little bit of an exterior. But the other thing I'm getting is that you've locked eyes with this person. I think you know exactly who I'm talking about, because the other thing is that you guys, there's like a magnetic pull when you're in the same room. If you're in the same room, the other thing that I get, and this is coming real, I got to say it as I'm hearing it, guys. This person is afraid to be around you because I think they think that it's obvious their feelings. That's another thing about Mr. Darcy, is that I think he was apprehensive of getting too close to Elizabeth because he felt like he was being transparent. So I think when you get in a room together, even if you're on opposite sides of the room, I think other people can pick up on your chemistry. It really is. I'm hearing black hole, like literally, like, like magnets. And but this person really cares about you, but they're keeping a level of emotional control. They definitely want to start with you. I think they really want to propose to you. Either that, or in their mind, you are a candidate for marriage. I do think that they're the one thing is with the quote, novels since the birth of the genre have been full of rejected, seduced, and abandoned maidens whose proper fate is to die. I think this person also might be leaning back because they don't want to turn you into the damsel into distress. And the other thing is, I think that you're just like Elizabeth Bennet. You do not like being labeled as a damsel in distress, because this is straight up sarcasm. It is like poking fun at the, like, yes, they're full of rejected, seduced, abandoned women that have been wronged. We just Queen of Swords, did the How to Tarot and the Queen of Swords. So the other thing that I'm kind of getting is, I think this person wants a passionate new start, but they're keeping tempered. It's almost kind of all or nothing is what I'm feeling. It's like if they approach you, it's the real deal. So this isn't going to be like, it's not going to be a half-assed attempt if they do it. And that's the other thing about Mr. Darcy. He had to take measures, remember, because by the end of the movie, he had to like tell his aunt, and he didn't even come out and tell his aunt. He just did it. He was like, you know what, this is my life. I'm going to do it. But he had a controlled reserve about it because he did have to kind of, but there is, the other thing I get from the Ace of Candlesticks is that, the Ace of Wands can be a passionate new start, but it is still an ace. Aces are wonderful. They're springboard energy, and this is powerful, passionate springboard energy. But the only thing is that, Ace of Wands can start off strong and fizzle. Or it can start off strong and then go the distance, to being Queen of Wands, King of Wands, right? You never know. You never know. And I think that's another reason that this person is using caution, is because they don't want to turn you into a rejected, seduced, or abandoned maiden. That's stereotypical, and that's beneath them, right? But it is still an Ace of Wands. It could either get off the ground and be that happily ever after, or it could get off the ground and leave you in a bad position. And because this person is, I do get a sense this person is in a position of some kind of affluence or power, or maybe they have considerations, whether it be family or work, but they do see you as what they want, though. I do think this person wants to propose to you. Either that, or in their head, they're saying, okay, how can I get to this end game? You're their end game, but they don't want to turn you into they don't want to turn you into a cliche. But and that's the other thing, is that controlling that energy. An ace is a beautiful new start, but it can be a crash and burn with the ace, but you don't know at the time that it's getting off the ground. And I think this person, your person, they have these connected moments, and I think you feel it. This person, but they act so strange. I think it would be a total surprise to you if they just showed up and proposed to you. The other thing that I kind of get is that they really don't want people to see how they're feeling. They want to be in control of that. But wow, guys, that's a beautiful read. That's a beautiful read. And honestly, you know, even if they don't come out and do it, that's on their mind. That's what they have in mind. All right, guys. So last but not least, we got the letter. You just got a letter. You just got. Oh, sorry. All right. If you watch my channel, I do cheesy, shameless and endorphin stimulating little things. All right, should we go with it? Yes, let's go with it. Here we've got, oh wow, you got Charles Hayter. All right, so you got, so your first card, you got the Ace of Spades. And then let's go ahead, deck number 3. Oh wow, it's Major Arcana, you got Death. No worries, there are no bad cards in tarot. Okay, and our quote, please. Oh, that's interesting. Wow. Oh, this is a different one, guys. This is a different one. And oh, and it's so interesting with the letter. Oh, gosh. Okay. See, this is why I love me some Jane. Happy birthday, Jane. All right. So let's go ahead. I know for a fact that this is Charles Hayter. And again, I'm learning the book. Before you know it, I won't have to reference the book, hopefully, someday. All right, Ace of Spades. And again, we talked about this. This is like, this Oracle deck is similar to a playing card deck. And so it's 53 cards, it's 52 regular playing cards plus a joker. Now, the Ace of Spades, in a traditional playing card, Ace of Spades is a powerful card. It's actually usually a card of misfortune. It's a little bit, it's double-edged. And that's, oh, there you go, pun intended, a double-edged sword. And with it being the ace, it's like the Ace of Swords if you read it like a traditional tarot. But it's a double-edged sword, so I think all of these meanings are playing in. So the Ace of Spades can either be the card that tears you down, like almost like a tower, kind of like they do refer to it as the quote-unquote trump card, meaning that it conquers all. And so sometimes it can be seen in traditional playing cards. And actually, go ahead and Wikipedia. It gives a really good explanation of it. But the Ace of Swords or the Ace of Spades is usually that card of either very quick, sudden, like the coup de grace, or it can be the breakthrough, like something occurring. And here I'm reading it as blessing and a curse. I'm reading it as duality. I'm seeing this as both being a misfortune, but also an incentive. But the Ace of Spades is clarity. There you go. See, this deck is so interesting in the way that it depicts things, because it's almost describing it like the Ace of Swords. Charles Hayter, which is Hayter. It's not Hayter like, Heter. It's Hayter. Hopes to rise above his station in persuasion. He is clear on his goals and focused in his work. So just a little background, Charles Hayter is a minor character, and what it is that Anne Elliot's sister is married to another Charles, and they have Charles's sister. Again, these are middle class kind of families. Charles's sister is a young lady who's single, and when Frederick Wentworth comes back into town, all the ladies are clamoring to get his attention. So any eligible maidens would be possible. Everyone's looking at Frederick Wentworth because he came back from the war wealthy. So of course everyone's like, Anne Elliot's brother-in-law has 2 sisters, and the 2 sisters are of marrying age, right? They've come out in society where, if Frederick Wentworth wanted to marry one of them. And of course everybody's playing the matching game. Everyone's like, well, this sailor has a lot of money. And so the 2 sisters, it's Henrietta and Louisa. And Henrietta is a very sweet-tempered girl. She's very, very sweet. And everybody is kind of saying, okay, will Frederick Wentworth go with Louisa, or will he go with Henrietta? And what Anne Elliot's brother-in-law keeps saying is, well, Henrietta is not available. Henrietta is engaged to our cousin Charles Hayter, and and Anne's sister is, is a little bit, she's a little bit of a snot. She's not in a mean way. She's a good character, but she's a little haughty in the way that she does things. And she's like, well, Charles Hayter is nobody. I don't know why you're engaging Henrietta to such low prospects. And, she's kind of turning her nose up at Charles Hayter. But Anne's brother-in-law really defends Charles and says he's a very amiable young man. He's practical. He's gonna inherit, the land from his family. So Henrietta is gonna be very well off. And so basically, they're defending him like, Charles Hayter's a good guy. He might not have millions. He doesn't have millions of pounds, but he's got a good fortune ahead of him. He's got a solid family, and he will inherit, what he needs. And he'll be, when that happens, he will be ready to marry Henrietta, and they're going to be very happy. But of course, Anne's sister is not for that. She still scoffs and is like, well, Charles Hayter, he's a nobody. Why are we, why is he even here? So I get a sense that whether this is either you or your person is your person has had kind of a come up. Like he or she has he probably has a few people looking down their nose at him. I think that your person, you'll know who they are, because it's almost like half the people are going, oh, what, look at this person has a good work ethic. So they're very, very known for the work that they do. I think he also has a good reputation, but he might get a reputation as being reliant on his family. Like the fortune that he gets is going to come from family. So this person might be a little tied to the family tree of their obligations or their income. Either that, or maybe it's a family-owned business. And then what I see here is that he might have this person, he or she. I'm saying he because Charles. I'm getting a strong feeling that it's a woman watching this video and your person's male. But switch the genders however it resonates. But Charles Hayter again he's a hardworking person, and I think he's really taken pains. The other thing that I kind of get is that he's good in his business endeavors. Maybe it is a family business where, he might be being honed to take over something. Either that, or if it's in a more modern context, maybe he's an apprentice to someone and he is obligated to that. Like he's committed to a certain field. And, as soon as the person above them graduates or gets a promotion, then he'll move up in line. So he has, in Jane Austen's language, this would be great prospects ahead of him. He has great prospects ahead of him. He's not a millionaire now, but he is going to be, middle or upper middle class, and he's moving on up. He does have some naysayers. He has a few people who think that he's too lowly. But those tend to be people who are a little bit snooty. Like again, like it's Mary, Anne Elliot's sister Mary, who's looking at him looking at Charles like he's beneath her or not good enough for Henrietta. Now, what I think is interesting is you chose the letter, and next to Charles Hayter, you got the death card. Now, I don't mean this in a morbid way, but death can mean transformation. But the beautiful thing about the death card in this is the scene in Sense and Sensibility. What it is that Mary Ann Dashwood and Eleanor and their mother, they are this. Eleanor's mother is the second wife of their father, Mr. Dashwood, and in that time, just almost like the throne of England, women did not inherit fortunes. That always went to the male heir. And what happened was Mr. Dashwood was married initially, and he had a son. Then his wife died and he married again, and then he had 3 daughters, Eleanor, Marianne, and Margaret. because it was the second marriage, and because it did not produce any male heirs, the son from his first marriage is the one who gets the fortune. And what this is this scene is their father on their deathbed saying to his son, I want you to take care of the girls. You know, they don't have any legal rights once I'm gone, because he loved his wife and he loved his girls. He was very, very, so here on his deathbed, he's committing his son to saying, when I am gone, I want you to take care of the girls. Now, what happens is his son has a malicious wife who gets in his ear and talks him into not giving the girls anything. So he pretty much leaves his half sisters destitute, you know, with very little. They have to move to a cottage, which is, you know, they have to almost rely on their mother's side of the family to take care of themselves. So he did not honor the promise to their father. But what I'm kind of seeing here is that maybe it's a situation like that where this person was really working hard. I don't think, you know, like Charles Hayter, in these stories, it was kind of cutthroat like that, where if you had bad blood in families, you know, there would be, you know, you see in the Austen families all the time, you know, like Willoughby and Wickham, they're always like, well, you know, I have a wealthy aunt benefactor and I'm just waiting for her to pass so she can give me money. You know, there are some, you know, nasty characters who are just out for the money. They don't care about their family. Now with Charles Hayter, I don't think that he's not like, you know, standing in line with his hand out. He's not like, you know, oh, I can't wait for, you know, me to get my inheritance. But what he's doing is it's almost like, and again, the double-edged sword, you know, he is benefiting by his family's inheritance, but it's almost like he's proving himself. He's showing that, okay, I can manage our properties. I can, you know, manage money well. You know, when I'm ready to step into this role, I'll be ready to step into this role. And what I'm kind of seeing here is with the death card, it's possible that that might have happened recently. Maybe some kind of family member, like I think this windfall has occurred, where this is what the letter pertains to. Maybe there was a death in the family, maybe of a grandparent or a parent, and now you're stepping up. It's almost like this person. So the other thing that I'm kind of getting is maybe the other thing is that Henrietta doesn't see Charles very often, but they are betrothed. Like they will get married as soon as he has the money. As soon as he's deemed the Lord, he can get married. So it's quite possible that this letter might pertain to that. It might be that this person might have had a death in the family. And I feel sad saying it like that because, again, you know, these type of situations, either that or, again, death can be metamorphosis. It can be change. So if it's a work situation, maybe the thing that you were anticipating, like, okay, my boss got promoted and now I'm moving into his position. But here I'm getting a strong theme that this is patriarchal and that this person might be giving you hints through their communication. Maybe they're emailing you. They're kind of giving you a heads up that things for me are about to change and I'm being groomed to step into a position. Now, I'm also getting the sense that there might be a delay. The other thing that I'm seeing is the shirt coat of the son is very similar to the shirt coat of Charles Hayter. So one other thing that I might be getting is that it's possible that this person really wants to be with you or wants to take care of you, but they have other family obligations. Like the inheritance doesn't just go to them. They might be primary. I'm getting a sense like, okay, they will get their money, but it's almost like they have to look after either a mother or possibly an ex-wife or children, possibly family members, could be sisters. Again, I feel like this person has had to step up because of some kind of loss in the family. They're groomed to do it. They're very capable and they're a good person. But the other thing that I get is, again, with the clarity, maybe this person is telling you, okay, you know, I had a death in my family. We have to, I'm going to be busy for a while. I have to take care of, you know, my grandmother. I have to take care of my mother, my sisters. I'm getting things straightened out. I'm going to make sure everybody is okay. and the other thing is that I think that there might be a little bit of push and pull. I don't think that anybody's getting shafted in this situation, but I think this person is also trying to be very careful that nobody gets a bad deal out of this, especially if they're the main benefactor. I'm getting a strong sense of that. And it's almost like they're communicating to you. They're either giving you hints as to what's going on in this situation, or there's the other thing that you get is when you send a letter, it's usually because you're at a distance. So maybe this person is at a distance because they are dealing with family things. And the double-edged sword of it is that yes, it's a fortunate thing because I get to step up and assume my role, but it's disfortune and it's a blow to me because of a loss of a family member or the grieving of of a woman that you love, the taking care of. It's the other thing I kind of get is that if you're standing into the son in Sense and Sensibility also had to step into the father role, and definitely the Dashwood girls were missing their actual father. They weren't extremely close to their half brother, and as you see, so this also might be a thing where they're balancing some delicate family dynamics. But I'm definitely getting a male heir kind of thing. This is patriarchal. This is some kind of inheritance or something that's being passed down from male to male. Then your quote, you got the Three of Swords. So Three of Spades. And Three of Swords can mean separation. Again, with the letter, it's almost like, okay, I can't be with you right now. I have other obligations. But this person wants to. And again, Charles Hayter was engaged to Henrietta. It's almost like, their plans had to be put on the back burner, until he because he was very entrenched with his family. His inheritance deemed what he could do. But the Three of Spades says, men have had every advantage of us in telling their own story. Education has been theirs in so much higher a degree. The pen has been in their hands. The pen has been in their hands. So what that tells me is that, and again, this is Jane Austen poking fun, not poking fun, but I think she is taking a little bit of a stab at the fact that women were not given equal rights. Honestly, it wasn't until Queen Elizabeth II's generation that a woman could be queen. And that is because her uncle abdicated. He gave up the throne, and the King Edward, or Prince Edward, had daughters. But what this is telling me is that, what I also get is that this might be a tricky situation where I think definitely I'm seeing a patriarchy, I'm seeing an inheritance, I'm seeing someone who has to really walk the line. And it's almost like this person is not just free to start their own family. They have to care for other women that would be at a disadvantage. And I think that it might be a mother or sisters, because it's saying men have had every advantage of us in telling their own story. Education has been theirs in so much higher a degree. The pen has been in their hands. And you know what I'm seeing? And when I see pen in the hand, I think almost signing a contract or signing, signing a will. So I do get the sense, I think that your person is in the power position. If they could shaft people, they could take the full inheritance and not give anybody else anything. But I don't think that, because Charles Hayter is a reputable, good person, I do think that this person has not had a lot of money in the past. He kind of, this would be a windfall for them. And again, for your person, and it's a double-edged sword, because it's a windfall for them, but they do also have other considerations. I don't think they're strictly obligated to take care of these other people, but they did give their word. And Charles Hayter is a man of his word. So I do think that there's separation from this person because they're dealing with family things. It could be a death or a loss. And I think the pen is in their hand, right? The pen is in their hand. And I think what they're doing is they're trying to do the right thing by their family. I'm getting a strong sense that they're trying to take care of a mother or siblings. And they've been charged with that. They've been, and I also get a sense of like stepping up and being the man or the head of their family is what they have to do right now. And but I do get the sense like it's patriarchal in the sense that the control is with your person, and they want, the other thing is clarity. They might be explaining this to you. They might be saying, okay, look, I know I've been away, I know we've been separated, I know I haven't been able to go forward with any plans between you and me. They might even not be asking you to wait, or might be asking you for feedback. But I do get a sense, I'm getting a strong sense they handle their business. But I think they've been given some very verbal, almost like a will, a bequeathment, and they have to make sure that everybody gets a fair deal, because the power is with them, and they're either conveying this to you, or they might be writing to you and trying to connect to you when they can, because they have all this other stuff going on. But wow, guys, see? My gosh, I love me some Jane. You can see how deep this gets. This gets, every single time I pull out my Jane cards, I get some real answers. She does not, she is such a wonderful writer. And so definitely, I hope that you enjoy the day. Thank you for checking it out. If you like the cards, the timestamps and the information are in the description box. I hope that the messages resonate. If you do get a chance to watch some TV, try to see, maybe there's a Jane movie on. All of them are wonderful. And absolutely, if you're in for a wordy read, you can read the stories as well. But I thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.